Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to be looking at the essential strategies and tips that you need for speaking questions on the Duolingo English Test. Here is the agenda. First, we'll look at the scoring criteria. What is Duolingo looking for on these questions? Then we'll look at general tips for all speaking questions. And finally, we'll look at the strategies and tips for each speaking question type. The graders at Duolingo are looking for 5 things in your responses to speaking questions. First, the graders at Duolingo want to see well-developed ideas. They are asking themselves, are your ideas easy to follow? Your response needs to be relevant, which means what you talk about needs to be directly related to the prompt. And your ideas need to be coherent, meaning that your ideas connect logically together. They are also looking for a lack of grammar mistakes. They're asking themselves, how many grammar mistakes are you making? Are you using correct verb tenses? Are you using the correct prepositions? Third, the Duolingo graders are looking for diverse grammatical structures. They're asking themselves, are you using different kinds of sentence structures? Are you using complex sentences with connecting words? Are you using short and long sentences? Fourth is diverse vocabulary. The graders are asking themselves, are you not repeating the same words? Finally is pronunciation. They're asking themselves, is it easy to understand you? Are you pronouncing words correctly? Are you putting the emphasis in the right place? Are you pausing for commas and periods? I wanted to take a moment to let you know about Arno. With Arno, you get unlimited practice questions for every question type on the DET, including all the speaking questions, for free. And if you purchase credits, then you can get feedback on your grammar and vocabulary, as well as pronunciation. Here's how it works. When you answer a speaking question in Arno, we will give you a pronunciation assessment like this. You can also then replay your answer to hear what you sound like. We'll give you an estimated score, and we'll give you a breakdown of how advanced your vocabulary is. But then we'll also give you grammar feedback, pointing out your grammar mistakes and how to fix them. We'll give you vocabulary tips so that you can level up your vocabulary to get a higher score. And Arno will even rewrite your answer to make it sound like a native speaker wrote it. This is what our users love the most. So if you want to start practicing speaking questions on the DET, just head to goarno.io to create your free account and get your free full mock test. Okay, let's get back to the tips. Let's now look at general tips for all speaking questions on the Duolingo English Test. First is use a good microphone. If your microphone is bad, it means that it's going to be difficult to hear your voice in your recording, and you will get a lower score. Remember, the graders are looking for how easy it is to understand you. So, if your laptop or computer does not have a good microphone, we recommend asking a friend or somebody else to borrow theirs. Second, take the test in a quiet place. If there's a lot of background noise, like people talking, or air conditioners, or fans, or noise from the street, it's going to be harder to hear you. So you want to make sure that you take the test in a quiet, ideally silent room. 3, if you make a mistake, don't panic. You can only record yourself one time on all speaking questions on the Duolingo English Test. So if you make a mistake while you are answering, don't panic, just continue, because even native speakers make mistakes while they're speaking. It is still absolutely possible to get a very high score, even if you make some mistakes in your responses. 4, speak for the entire time. On the Duolingo English Test, you want to show off your English. You want to show that you are very comfortable and proficient in English. So it's important that you speak for the entire time, showing that you're very comfortable speaking and have a lot of ideas and vocabulary and things to talk about. Tip number 5 is slow down and enunciate. Enunciate means to pronounce your words clearly. We recommend to our students that you pretend like you are speaking to an older person. When you speak to somebody like your grandfather or your grandmother, you slow down and you speak clearly so that they can understand you. And that is how you want to speak on the test. How I have been speaking in this video is the way you want to speak. Tip number 6. For speaking questions that have a prompt, you want to match the verb tense used in the prompt in your response. I'm going to explain more about this tip later on. Now you understand how Duolingo will evaluate your responses to speaking questions. You also have learned some general tips for speaking questions on the test. Let's now look at the specific strategies and tips for each of the 5 speaking question types that you will see on the test. First is read aloud. You will have 20 seconds to read out loud the text that Duolingo provides you. The text is usually 1 sentence, but it could be 2 or 3. Remember, you can only record yourself 1 time. For this question type, it's important to remember to pay attention to punctuation. So when you see a comma, take a short pause. And when you see a period, take a long pause. And when you see a question mark, you want to end on an upward inflection. For example, would you like to get hamburgers tonight for dinner? Next is speak about the photo. You will have 20 seconds to study the image and then 90 seconds to describe it. In the official guide to the DET, Duolingo recommends that you go beyond simple labeling and try to describe the image in detail. Honestly, that isn't very clear. So what do they mean? Let's take this image as an example. Simple labeling would be, there is a boy, there is a girl, there is a wall. I would just be labeling or naming things. So simple labeling is how kids talk. They point at things and they name them. That's a car, that's an apple, that's the sky. What Duolingo is saying is that you need to go beyond simple labeling. Let's look at a strategy that you can use to help you do that. The 5 W's strategy. So when you come to a picture description question on the test, you want to ask yourself these questions. Who? What? When? Where? And why? Let me elaborate. There are 2 kinds of images that you will see on the test. The first kind has people in it, and you want to ask yourself, what is happening in this photo? Who is doing what? Where are they doing it? When are they doing it? And why are they doing it? The second type of image that you will see only has objects, but no people. And for that kind of image, you want to ask yourself, what objects are in this photo? What are those objects doing? Or what is happening to them? Where are things taking place? When are things happening? And why are they happening? Let's now look at an example of each kind of image and how you can use the 5 W strategy. For this photo that has people, you should ask yourself what is happening in this photo. A boy and a girl are smiling and laughing. They both seem very happy. Who is doing what? The boy is holding the girl's head and embracing her. Where are they doing it? They are inside, but it's not clear which room they are in. When are they doing it? It's also not clear when this is happening. Why are they doing it? Perhaps they are brother and sister. The girl's hair appears wet, so maybe they just took a bath and are getting ready for bed. Here is the full response. A boy and a girl are smiling and laughing. They both seem very happy. The boy is holding the girl's head and embracing her. Perhaps they are brother and sister. The girl's hair appears wet, so maybe they just took a bath and are getting ready for bed. Let me point out 2 things about my response. First is that this was a pretty hard image to describe because there isn't a lot going on. That's why the last question, why are they doing this, is so important. It allows you to speculate and use your imagination to come up with things to talk about. Second, notice how I left out answers to the where are they doing this and when are they doing this. The 5W strategy is meant to help you think of things to talk about. You don't have to use your answers to all of those questions in your response. In fact, it's better if you leave out the things that are not relevant, because this will help you get a higher score. Let's now look at an example of an image that only has objects but no people. What objects are in this photo? There are cars. There is also a cobblestone street. What are those objects doing, or what is happening to them? The cars are parked. Where are things taking place? It looks like a quiet street in a pleasant older city. When are things happening? Some of the buildings are in the shadows, so perhaps late in the day. Why are they happening? There are not any empty parking spaces, so perhaps this photo was taken at the end of the day after everyone has returned from work. And here is the full response. In this photo, I see cars parked along a cobblestone street. Some of the buildings are in the shadows, so I think that the sun is setting. There are also no empty parking spaces. Perhaps this photo was taken at the end of the workday, after everyone has returned home from work. Notice how, once again, there was not very much happening in this photo. Therefore, the why question was very helpful in giving me things to talk about. Let's now move on to the third type of speaking question. Read, then speak. It looks like this. You will have 20 seconds to read the prompt, and then 90 seconds to speak about it. The strategy for this question type is very simple. Answer the questions. Duolingo provides you the topic, and they also provide you 3 to 4 questions. All you have to do is answer the questions that Duolingo gives you. You want to be sure to answer all of the questions, and you want to provide 1 to 3 sentences for each one. But of course, more is better if you have the time. And third, remember, match the verb tense of the prompt. In this question, can you determine what the verb tense is? It's in the present tense. Where is your favorite restaurant? What type of food does it serve? Why is it your favorite? Because the prompt is in the present tense, your answer should be in the present tense. For example, my favorite restaurant is called Nanzu Hand-Drawn Noodle House. It is in the Chinatown neighborhood of Philadelphia, specifically on Arch Street. They serve American Chinese food of all kinds, but they specialize in hand-drawn noodles, which they use in many dishes. My personal favorite are the cold peanut noodles. I go there once a month, on average. If it was closer to my house, I would probably go more often. It is my favorite because not only is the food really good, it is also really cheap. It is the best value meal in Philadelphia, in my opinion. In addition, they have very fast service, so you never have to wait long to get a table and to get your food after ordering. The fourth speaking question type is listen, then speak. You will be given a topic and you have 90 seconds to speak about it. In this way, it is the same as read, then speak. However, there are 2 differences. First, you will have to listen to the prompt. You will have 20 seconds to do this. You can listen to the prompt up to 3 times, and we recommend that you listen to it for all 3 times so that you can be sure you understand it. The prompt would usually be in the format of a topic and a guiding question. For example, talk about a teacher or mentor who has positively impacted your life. How have they helped shape your personal or academic growth? Or, describe a place that you have always wanted to visit. That's the topic. What attracts you to this location, and what do you hope to experience there? That is the guiding question. In contrast, read then speak questions have 3 or 4 guiding questions. Listen and speak questions have just 1 usually. This means that you need a different strategy for listen and speak questions. And the strategy that we recommend is the I last strategy. Identify the idea. Then list out the tasks that Duolingo wants you to perform. Then answer the question or state your viewpoint directly. Then support your answer using 2 or 3 examples. I know that this strategy is more complex than the last one, so let's walk through an example together. Let's use this example. Talk about a teacher or mentor who has positively impacted your life. How have they helped shape your personal or academic growth? First, let's identify the idea. A teacher or mentor who has positively impacted your life. List out the tasks to perform. Duolingo wants us to talk about that teacher or mentor, and then describe how that teacher or mentor has shaped your personal or academic growth. Then, we need to answer the question or state your viewpoint directly. Mrs. Rotruck was a middle school teacher who helped me blossom intellectually. I want to support my answer by giving 2 or 3 examples. She helped me discover my love for reading. She encouraged me to follow my curiosities. And she taught me how to be organized, work hard, and be persistent. And here is the full response. Mrs. Rotruck was a teacher that I had for 3 years in middle school. She was a brilliant teacher and a kind woman who helped me to blossom intellectually. First, she helped me discover my love for reading. Before her, I didn't read much. She showed me that I just wasn't reading things I was interested in. She showed me how there are so many different kinds of books and how to use the library and the internet to find the ones that may interest me. Second, she encouraged me and all of her students to explore our curiosities. In her class, we had large projects for which we could research whatever we wanted. It just had to culminate in a presentation to the class. Finally, she taught me essential principles of success. From her, I learned how to be organized, work hard, and remain persistent to overcome challenges that life inevitably places before us. Let's now look at the final speaking question type that you will see on the Duolingo English Test, the speaking sample. You will be given a prompt and you will have 30 seconds to read it and prepare your answer. Then you will have 3 minutes to respond to it. It's important to know that for this question, Duolingo will record you using your camera and microphone, and they will send that recording with your scores to schools and other institutions who receive your DET scores. This is so that the recipients can evaluate your English for themselves. For this speaking sample, the strategy that you should use is again, I last. Let's work through an example together. Information comes from many sources, including the people around us, the media, and even our own thoughts. How do you decide which information is most important to focus on? Describe a time when you filtered out some sources of information to give other sources your full attention. Include details and examples in your answer. So let's start by identifying the idea. Duolingo wants us to talk about the information that we consume. What are the tasks that Duolingo wants us to perform? First, they say that we should talk about how you decide which information is most important to focus on. They want us to describe a time when you filtered out some information to give other sources your full attention. They want us to include details and include examples. Answer the question or state your viewpoint. The question here is, how do you decide which information is most important to focus on? So the answer would be, I decide which information is most important based on my personal or professional goals at that point in time. I recently decided to focus on consuming more information that will help me in business. Support your answer with 2 or 3 examples. I stopped using social media as much and instead subscribed to helpful blogs. I started reading business books at night instead of watching TV. I stopped reading general news and started following news about my industry. Let's now look at the full response. I decide which information is most important to me based on my goals at that point in time. For example, I recently decided to focus on becoming a better business person. To support that goal, I changed the information that I consumed. First, I stopped using social media as much. I realized that social media was just a distraction, and it did not teach me anything useful. I subscribed to several business blogs. Now, instead of opening Instagram, I read those blogs, and I'm learning so many skills that are helping me in business. Second, I am watching less TV. Like social media, TV was not helpful to me. In the evenings, I now read books, specifically books about things like marketing and building software, which I can apply to my business. Third, I read less general news and spend more time reading news about technology companies and related areas. This helps me stay current on the latest trends, which helps me to be an innovative business person. You now have all the essential strategies and tips to help you with the speaking questions on the Duolingo English Test. If this video was helpful to you, be sure to subscribe so that you can get more in the future. And if you want to practice speaking questions for the DET or any other parts of the DET, just head to goarno.io to create your free account. Happy studying and see you next time.